It's a lovely Wednesday afternoon to catch up with the news making headlines across Namibia and expanding to the rest of the continent and the globe. In the news today, Amushelelo joins NEFF. Rundu activists opposed to foreigners managing government green schemes. Meatco engages governors on sectoral cohesion. We also take a look at the news headlining today's daily newspapers, bring you sports news and international headlines. These and more in today's broadcast. My name is Glenora Shipura and this is NMH at 1. In today's midday news update, forest tractors Amushelelo and Greg Recruiter were unveiled this morning as new members of Namibia Economic Freedom Fighters. Amushelelo and Clute said they joined the NEFF to fight the current Kukashop government. Party President Ephrafas Mokwalingu introduced the pair at a press conference this morning. Let's have a look.
Can you imagine that we had a road contractors company, state-owned, but this company somehow managed to become liquidated? Did we stop giving road tenders? Did we stop issuing road contracts? We are currently building a new road to the airport to a tune of 1 billion. I understand it was a concession from the Chinese. Now these concessions that we are receiving from the Chinese, what do they want in return? Because there's no free lunch in this world. There's no free lunch. So what is it? We should start reading these fine prints when these guys are signing these things off. And this is precisely why I've joined the Namibia Economic Freedom Fighters, because it does not help for 32 years. You have a small population and you have 1.2 million people unemployed in the country. Have we not learned from Ramatex? Investors are not missionaries. And even when the missionaries came, what happened? We closed our eyes to pray. When we opened our eyes, they had the land.
In today's visual news from across the regions, Meatco engages regional governors in Oshorongo. More on this when we come back after the break. Getting into today's visual news, Meatco engaged regional governors in Oshorongo yesterday in a bid to enhance sectoral cohesion and industry collaboration. And so Amwele was there.
Thank you. One of Meatco's responsibility is to coordinate in the industry. So we engage with the farmers, upstream, who are suppliers of our raw material. We do have stakeholders meetings with the banks. We do have stakeholders meetings with the employees. We meet with the communal farmers south of the VCF. We meet with the northern of the communal areas. These are key stakeholders in executing our competitive strategy. So it's very critical that they understand newly revamped Meatco and what would be their role. So we had to engage them to get their inputs as well, to solicit their views, but at the same time to make sure that as a sector, we are pulling in the right direction. And what came out very important is the more sustainable and a more profitable livestock industry. I mean, we have got climate change, we had droughts, we have got disease outbreaks. So we needed to beef up our dynamic capability. They need to have the African markets through the EFTA agreements that was signed last year in January. We need to make sure that through other measures such as commodity-based trade, how can we make sure that Namibia exports more than it imports, so that we have got a positive trade balance. So we need to see more primary production, we need to see more agro-processing in the country, so that we basically transform the agriculture sector from being a net exporter of unprocessed raw materials to being a net exporter of value-added products. That way you are able to create more employment in the country, you are able to generate more foreign exchange earnings in the country, you are able to shrink the unhygienic wealth gulf that we have as a country. So these were the critical issues that we were brainstorming with the governors and the chief regional officers. The meeting was very great, it went very well, and we look forward for more future engagements with our stakeholders.
Activist Franz Muyo says he is not happy with the decision by the government, calling on foreign investors to present proposals in order to run local green schemes. He spoke to Kenya Kambowe.
Start with, I'm not happy personally. So are a lot of people that are not happy with the government taking such a step. Why are we not happy? I don't know if a consultation was done. That is, of course, in this whole region. What we know is that before the government would take such a step, they must have exhausted at least the grounds on the lower community. People into this project. Like, let's just say green scheme. If green scheme is given to people that are capable, green scheme locally will be managed. Now, giving green scheme to outside investors, that will mean they have to own it. That means whatever, food security is not really part of us anymore, because these foreigners are going to be the owners of these projects that should be supplying food for us, and then of course the whole country. Yeah.
So basically,
The Chief Executive Officer of Roads Authority, Conrad
volume seal of 3605, we take note that the regional leadership has also identified this road for upgrading to low volume seal. We will be starting very soon with regard to 3605, Oluno Magistrate Court. I presume that it also passes the Ondonga Palace and the end east, even northwest. We feel that, and east, we feel that these areas have been covered. Most of these gravel roads
When we return, we'll be taking a sneak peek inside Namibia's daily print publications. But first, a quick ad break.
Must be paid and settled. NEFF has a set of guidelines on how you can repay your loan and become debt-free. Therefore, it is important that you, a former beneficiary and a responsible Namibian, show your patriotism by helping pay back your loan and thus helping NEFF become a revolving fund for the benefit of future potential students. By failing to pay back your NEFF loan, you risk being blacklisted or having a court order against you. So arrange with the fund to pay back your loan today. For more information on how you can repay your loan, visit our website at www.nasfaf.na or visit our Facebook page or Twitter. Do the right thing and hashtag payback the money.
Welcome back. Let's take a look at our local newspapers. According to Namibian Sun, Namibia has been encouraged to reduce its corporate tax rate to attract investors and to bring it to within touching distance of its Southern African Development Community peers who have lower corporate tax rates. Namibia, which has a corporate tax rate of 35%, other countries elsewhere in the SADC region offer more competitive corporate Zimbabwe at 25%, among others. Namibian Sun also reports that assumption. That's when comparing water quality with the World Health Organization standards for drinking water. In Republican, it is also reported that Dr. Ulf Tubesing and his team from Wildlife Vets Namibia had another incident last week on a plot near Bragwater where a warthog snout was caught in a wire trap. The farm called Wildlife Vets Namibia, who were able to help the mother pig who had 4 cubs before the wire cut into her skin. Allgemeine Zeitung reports that trial in which Namibian Institute of Mining and Technology employee Ernest Lichtenstrasser is accused of double murder resumed in the High Court yesterday. Institution's then managing director Eckhard Müller confirmed that all of her father's personal belongings he had with him on the morning of his killing had been returned to the family. The police only confiscated his cell phone. The state probably wanted to use Jacob's testimony to prove that Müller was not killed as part of a robbery. Allgemeine Zeitung also reports that Namibian Marine Phosphate is making progress on its environmental clearance application and plans to continue mining the feedstock from the seabed at the Sandpiper project. NMP has now communicated these in writing and emphasizes that the small-scale operation will make a significant socio-economic contribution to the Namibian economy. Do stay tuned for more news from our local newspapers right after the break.
Choose your flex package with Paratus today. Sign up for ultra-fast fiber with the convenience.
Welcome back. We now take a look at more news from our local newspapers. The Namibian reports that Namibian women can now look forward to taking care of their newborn babies for 3 months maternity leave while being paid to 15,000 Namibian dollars per month. These are among a raft of amendments to Social Security Commission payouts for maternity, sick leave and death benefits gazetted by the Ministry of Labour, Industrial Relations and Employment Creation this week. According to the Namibian, the president of the Namibia Local Business Association, Erastus Shapumba, says cabinet ministers should not treat the country's resources as if it belonged to them. Shapumba was speaking at an Alomba media briefing at Ongwediva yesterday. The press conference was called to strongly condemn the government's intention to lease 11 green schemes to foreign investors. New Era reports that the chairperson of the Erongo Regional Council and Swakopmund councillor Cisco Smith-Howard has been labelled disruptive, ill-mannered and an enemy of progress by some of her fellow councillors who tabled a vote of no confidence motion against her. Fellow Independent Patriots for Change members and Balvis Bay Rural Constituency Councillor Florian Donatos and Swapo Councillor of the Omaruru Constituency Ernest Witter both tabled their motions on Monday in an effort to remove Smith-Howard as the chairperson of ERA. Also reports that work will officially kick off on the upgrading of 4 rural schools that have been aided by the Chinese government. The education minister, along with Chinese embassy officials on Monday, held a groundbreaking ceremony for the construction of Horst Kumpi constituency of Kabango West. Yesterday, another groundbreaking was held at Simanya Combined School in Mupungu constituency. In Zambesi region, a groundbreaking for Masokotwani Combined School will be held tomorrow and for Liselo Combined School on Friday. According to Institution Supervisory Authority says, during the financial year ended 31 March 2022, its CSRI sponsorship to institutions and individuals was worth 364,000. Namfisa says, as a responsible corporate citizen, it is committed to play a meaningful role in society and be socially responsible by funding projects and activities that positively contribute to national development in Namibia. When we come back, we'll be zooming in on how Namibia has been affected by the drought, which increased the country's agricultural debt. These and more stories from the world of economics when we return. And a drastic loss of about 87.9% in revenue when compared to 2019. Now, neighboring South African finance minister says government hopes to cushion consumers from the spiking oil price, at least temporarily, for the months of April and May. I can't reveal the details at this stage. We are in a sensitive discussion with the Department of Mineral Resources and Energy, he told MPs. Oil prices have spiked since February due to Russia's war on Ukraine and reached a high of nearly $130 a barrel earlier this month. On Wednesday, Brent crude was trading at $116 a barrel. South African consumers are already facing record high petrol prices, and 2 rands a litre increase is anticipated for April. This will take petrol to at 24 rands a litre. Fuel prices increases also have a significant impact on food prices. The minister added that it is essential to invest in gas infrastructure to develop the industry, as the country did when it first developed the renewable energy industry. Now let's take a look at our economic indicators. The Namibian dollar is down against the British pound and the Namibian dollar while maintaining its value against these other 2 major currencies. The Namibia Stock Exchange shows no major changes. Namibia Breweries trades at the highest with 45 Namibian dollars. Trustco Group holding shares are up by 4.20%, while the overall index is 0.46%. All commodities have gone down in value. Brent crude oil now down to 111.02%. We return with news from Ethiopia, which is in the process of returning 100,000 migrants to their country.